Welcome to my humble abode, which is, of course, the LCO. I'm joined by Kitty, Skimmy, as well as that man who's looking a bit Steve Irwin-y over on the far side. How you feeling today, Rusty?
I was thinking about it. I ruined the immersion by wearing Converse shoes because there's just no shot Steve Irwin would wear these ever.
True.
So,
hey, don't judge a book by its cover, all right? How was everyone's long weekend, Kitty? How you doing?
Very, very humid and sweaty in Australia right now. It is absolutely pouring outside, which is a God sent from heaven. Very nice. I've been absolutely sweating bullets for the past 3 days. Hopefully you've been doing better than me, Mac.
Yeah, not bad. Bit sweaty as well, but look, that's, of course, left for the Rift. We'll get to that at some point. But for now, we've had a very damn great start to the day. But last week, we had a lot of action. So let's quickly look back at what went down before we jump on into the new week of LCO.
Starting in lane bottom. Oh, hang on a minute. That's an early exhaust. Easy cleanse.
Wow.
Heals used as well. Very aggressive in the level 1 mark. Ignite's come down. Cleanse already been burnt. So that's a lot of true damage that will stick. Both Eddie carries super low, chugging through potions. Super copying a few more autos. A flash is there for Violet. Hooper flashes first, denies that kill opportunity. They could still go for this one, but ultimately they've got all they need. Chief's going to take this one out, and now's all a case of trying to deny this one. Dominus flash engaged once again, sliced and diced, didn't find the target, locked them in place with the Maokai so far, but a culling to the face, and Emphasis dead. The ult was burnt, the flash was used, but did absolutely nothing. In jumps Kisse! Look at this! It's gymnastics! He's knocking them all up, he's stunned, he's dashing! What was that? Oh no, Decoy could be stuck in a rock and a hard place, but actually says it's a bait, it's a trap, you're actually in trouble. Great bubble to lock in place, why not? So he got him in disengage away flash, but he's dead. That was a wasted summoner. And that's a TP in. Can they turn this one around? Zonus in mini, no mega charge whatsoever. The rest of the team here to back him up, trying to cut them off from the flank. Turret very low, flash draw to get it. A second potentially, maybe. Stealth cast of the ult there by Daystar. That is the Frozen Tomb, that is the Icy Death.
Some crazy games coming through last week on the LCO, and we have more this week because not only do we have more games, but we have more craziness too, because I'm here.
Yes, Mac, you're here!
You most certainly are.
We really are. We really are. Now let's have a quick look at the standings before we jump on into what's going down today on this beautiful sweaty Monday. So far, we've got Direwolves, PGG, and the Chiefs all undefeated at the top of the leaderboard. We've got Mammoth and Kanga sitting 1-1 in 4th position, and Peace, Ground Zero Gaming, and Team Bliss down at that 0-2 bracket. GZ and TB both sort of had pretty rough runs last week going against some of the top teams that you would expect here towards the top of the leaderboard. So pretty unfortunate for them, but that means things are looking up for this round robin. Of course, while we're here, you know, may as well mention it. Peace, unfortunately, still unable to field the roster going into this week. So it looks like we're not going to be seeing what Peace can bring to the table yet on the LCO. Not until next week, Rusty.
Yeah, we're going to have 5 of the games of their first round robin without a sample size of what Peace can provide. Exciting roster, but we're not going to see it for a while yet, which is a big shame.
Yeah, a little bit sad, but unfortunately, there's no time to be sad because the LCO's here and we've got 3 big games today. Let's have a lok at what is going to be going down. We got the Chiefs, we got Direwolves as game one of the day. Ooh, that's what you love to see. Kanga up against TB at 7 p.m. We got PGG and Mammoth at 8 p.m. So out of these 3, Oh, I'm still looking at that first game. We might hit the highs real early. Of course, Ground Zero Gaming get that forfeit win over Peace as well. So we will only be watching 3 games today. But let's start talking about this first game because Chiefs and Direwolves, both of these teams, you know, you're expecting them to be towards the top of the table. And I know there's a few people on Direwolves that want a bit of revenge for what happened at the end of last split.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here as well, but I feel like that was our runner-up for the match of the week. Because at first glance, you're looking at day one, you're like, damn, that could be crazy. But then even in the second day covered up, of course, there will be the match of the week, which will be potentially even more of a banger. But we hope to kick off the week with a really solid start.
100%. And just so you guys at home know what the match of the week is, have a look at this. We also have PGG up against the Chiefs, and that's going to be tomorrow at 8 p.m. to finish off the day. It's what you absolutely love to see because PGG have been playing so astoundingly. I feel like a lot of people are putting them as their sort of top team after what we've seen from that first week.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs have something to say about that, don't they, Kitty?
I was the only one on this couch that put PG first in regular split. You guys all are Chief fans. You're a Team Bliss fan, I believe?
Yep.
Yeah, Team Bliss. Not looking too hot just quite yet. But yeah, PGG Chiefs, the rivalry continues from 2022. And I'm excited to see what these two rosters have installed for us tomorrow because they are the 2 best performing teams so far. I do think PG might have that little bit of an advantage though.
In terms of the chemistry, I'd have to agree. But I still want to sort of hold myself back a little bit, just in case Chiefs dumps to Direwolves today, and then that'll shut me right up. But look, we got a few things to quickly check on before we jump on into the action. There are a few champs that have 100% presence at the moment, so let's bring them up to have a conversation as to what is going on. We got Lucian, Maokai, Nami, Ryze, and Yuumi with 100% pick ban so far. Lucian's one that's been picked a whole lot, hasn't it, Rusty?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Lucian.
Yeah.
We haven't seen as much Lucian in every other region in the world because it is being banned. However, we have been seeing a lot of Lucian with the Nami. That's why they're both up there together as 100%. Maokai primarily banned here in the LCO. Ryze we've seen a few picks of as well. And I would say Chaz is the one that sticks to my mind when I think of Ryze in the LCO and in terms of success. But we'll talk about him a little bit more when we get into the Direwolf squad because I think Chaz is a very big point of that. And Yuumi, I just want to quickly say, thank God she's getting nerfed and removed. I've never
She's getting
felt
deleted.
They killed the cat.
so many people have just like tagged me in posts of Yuumi being nerfed, and I'm happy every time. I smile every time I get tagged, so it's a good day.
What about you, Kitty? You're a bit of a Yuumi abuser, aren't you?
Well, look, I used to be a Nami one-trick until Yuumi got introduced and I, played a bit of Yuumi. But unfortunately, now that she has been nerfed to the ground, I might need to go back to the fish.
Okay, well, we'll see how that one works out. Either way, the cat, it's out of the bag. It's out of the bloody rift, and Rusty at least love to see
Cheering.
He's happy man.
We'll see. What did you have anything to put in on that one, Skimmy?
I mean, I guess Ryze, yeah. Ryze is a great one. Was like a 39% absolute piss champ, but now it's coming back into the fold of things. And I'm really happy. I love Ryze, man. Like, this guy is an absolute smurf, both in terms of his color palette, but in terms of how he can play and perform in the game. His champions like the Seraphs and Brave buff, the Rod of Ages as well. Loves to see it. Level 16 just coasting on through. And a good team with good map awareness just stands to profit even further from it.
Well, let's have a look at the next graphic. I believe it's Lucian. You know, we're crying, we're preaching to the choir. 6 picks, 0 bans in the LCO. Rusty touched on it before. Kitty, what do you have to say about this man in the bot lane?
Well, like Skimmy said, Ryze is either a piss champion or it's extremely broken for competitive, and that goes the same case for Lucian as well. If we take a look at the stats, it has currently has 6 picks and 0 bans. A big egg, which I am really confused by because this pick in the all the other major regions is an extremely popular and probably the strongest laner that we have in bottom lane. And, for this pick to do so well, a lot of these LCO teams have been picking the Zeri as a response when it comes to those duos, but you need to have a very demanding laning phase or more of a high execution because Zeri is such a scaling champion. You can't make any mistakes, especially in that early game in the laning phase when it leads up to those early dragon fights because we've seen the Zeri come in so many times, but they just do maybe 0-3 in lane, 0-4, especially with the Yuumi and the Lulu. You can't scale until late game, and that just does so good for the Lucian side.
And specifically for this Lucian pick, one of the things that makes it overwhelmingly strong is its mid-game presence. Like, once it goes in mid lane, it just wins. And you've seen that in the LCO, you've seen that globally in every region. So it's too dangerous in mid, and it has been winning every single lane in the LCO on top of that. So it's going above and beyond.
Yeah.
And I think also I was experimenting a bit with the upcoming patch, so I won't say too much on it yet, but with the crit changes, there might be a world where you can go back to the Infinity Edge build with a second because you have the double tap passive. So it could be potentially even better.
Yep, and you know, teams, you don't always have to opt into the Zeri. Come on, we also have some other options like the Varus and Caitlyn, and these two champions have been also a very popular response into the Lucian in these major regions where both Varus and Caitlyn have that range advantage when it comes to those trading patterns, and they just get so much priority in lane.
Prage, the church.
The church,
This
yes.
is the church. Kitty, this is for you. All right, this is what you've asked for. It is the worldwide support picks that we want to see more of in the LCO.
Well, look, if your name doesn't start with K and end with area, we shouldn't be seeing these picks, especially in the LCO. But because my name is now officially changed to Kit Area, I can pick these. I have the pass. But yes, of course, looking at the worldwide support picks, we have the Ashe, Azir, Caitlyn, Heimerdinger, Jhin, and Kalista in the support slot. Very, very interesting. A lot of ADC champions, and I wanted to touch on some of these. So Ashe and Heimerdinger has always been a very dominating pick coming into patch 13.1, and it also was present during Worlds 2022. But some of the, I guess, Pandora's box champions include Caitlyn, Kalista, Azir, and Jhin. Mainly Carrier playing it on T1 in the LCK League, especially the Caitlyn and Kalista made their new debut a few days ago. And I do want to highlight that all these champions, or mainly Ashe, Caitlyn, and Kalista, are abusing the Halo Blades, and they also go Umbral Glaive first, where they have such a strong trade in the early game, especially into those Enchanter champions like the Lulu, where they are able to secure the laning priority, and that results into a lot of early dragons, which fastens up the tempo into scaling comps like the Enchanters, where you don't want them to get too late into the game. But the Azir was also picked, and I believe this Azir was picked in LCS once. It has a big fat egg as the win percentage, very sad, but I believe it was also a pick to counter the Heimerdinger because you still have that extra range on those towers, and you also are able to outpoke him in lane.
Am I seeing a 13 KDA on the Kalista support?
Carrier build
yeah,
diff.
it's T1 things. The thing is, like, the funny thing about a lot of these picks is, like Kitty has been highlighting, it just starts with T1 or it starts with the LCK.
Yeah.
They value pushing a lot, which is why you are getting lanes like Heimerdinger with an Ashe or like Heimerdinger with a Varus and just like hard pushing. And that's where this weird meta has come across on, like, they've started something. The whole world's now seeing it and we have to deal with it. So like Jhin gets picked, right? Because you can go 2 points Q W max and deal with turrets, but still being able to trade, and Umbral Glaive existing as a support item, or a support rushed item for these AD champions, gives them so much of a support value that wouldn't be there. If that item didn't exist, I don't think any of these champions get picked, the AD specifically ones, where you've got an Azir to deal with Heimerdinger because he can clear those turrets at longer range.
You were talking about the Xerath as well, right? About another champion that gives you a bit of range. I mean, we remember like Guncrab playing that in the past. I was like trying to throw out the idea, like, what about a Ziggs support, right? You got the sieging potential, you get the satchel charge with a Herald, you get the the explode on the turret nice and easily. But it was like that trade-off, right, you were mentioning between the harass to try and match the Heimerdinger, but the wave shove as well.
It's all about pushing in the LCK, yeah.
These AD picks also introduce a lot of flexing to these drafts when we do go into game, and I just think sometimes, when you do lock in the Caitlyn and Ashe, teams do prep around that. And something else that I wanted to mention was that I lost my point. But yes, flexing, very, very strong, very broken, and very annoying. Oh, yes, the Varus. I want to see Varus,
Varus
support.
Okay.
His E has a built-in anti-heal, and I want to see maybe it into a Soraka. I do think it has been a very traditional counter into a lot of enchanters. And, with the Eclipse buffs coming in next patch, perhaps we will see it.
I'm keen to see the resurgence of Nasus support. What about that?
Ooh,
Remember
yes.
when we got that
The
that
Church
one
of
Pick
time?
LS?
to support blind?
Let's
Yeah,
do it.
I would slam a Nasus.
Okay, it could happen. It could happen. Look, you guys, I want to hear from you guys at home. It's time for From the Fans. We want to hear about how your placements went for Season 13, or are you too scared to do them? Are you sort of waiting for it to all iron out for all the noobs to go back to bronze with me, or all the good people go up with Kitty. Even though I saw on the match fix your OPGG was looking pretty red. What's going on there?
Yeah, so before I came onto the show over the weekend, I got murdered online by Mr. Shock and Amelg. So please res me. You didn't have to do me like that, but you decided to. I even came into your Twitch chat, Shock, and I was kind of begging for some sympathy with how my placements went in Season 13, but you decided to do me like that. So I'm onto you now.
Well, he was TikTok Shock for a reason, playing that Zil. So could give you a res, maybe if you're lucky. Of course.
I'm still dead on the couch. Like, this is my soul talking.
Rusty, your placements went well, right? I saw you bloody
talking.
up in gold on your Smurf and bloody on your main.
Oh, yeah.
Just skyrocketed.
I played one game on my main and it was just a master lobby. I was playing with Limas and I peaked in that game. I played so well, I was like, I'm not playing again. Went on my Smurf. And then I think I finished yesterday 8-2, but one of them was a remake. And a remake counts as a loss. Like a 3-minute
really?
FF. Yeah. So I went 8-2, but like 8-1 in reality.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's a bit
Singed
silly.
mid.
By the way, we actually have some submissions to have a look at. Who's doing what, whose placements went well, and then anything else in between. We got B Mackie, 2 and 8. I feel like a lot of people went 2 and 8. I think I went 2 and 8.
The magical number.
I think I had a similar thing where we had a remake, and then I just copped an elf that. I'm like, oh, awesome. Great. Glad that one happened.
2-8's rough.
Yep. Gotta love
does
that.
feel
It's
bad.
very rough.
What about you, Skimmy? How do your ARAM placements go?
Yeah, ARAMs are good. One day they will release ranked ARAM, and I will be the most insane Smurf player at that. But until then, I can just sort of laugh at the misery of others.
Love to hear it. Now, we got 2 more to have a quick look at. Let's see who the next informer is. It's Mark Savine. My main takeaway is that I apparently had fun during the process. But did you, or are you just putting on a facade?
It's
That's
like
the
a
question.
hostage situation. They apparently had fun during the process. Did you?
What that
Who
is
told you that?
is that guy who's crying with the smiling mask on top. He's like,
Yeah.
I had so much
Ranked
fun.
is really fun, guys. League of Legends is an awesome game. Let's go. I'm
Woo!
not addicted.
He's got the script out.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Let's have a look at the third and final tweet that you guys have sent in. And it's Tyz, who's undefeated. I want to believe it, but picks or, it didn't happen, Tyz. And I know you know how a computer works. Please screenshot for everyone at home to back that statement up. Thank you, Tyz.
If you don't play, you can't lose.
Also,
Facts.
if he doesn't screenshot, can we just recruit like Andrew Ray from Snowball to find his account and screenshot for us?
Hey,
Because I want to know now. I don't trust him.
Mr. Ray, make it happen. And I'm looking at you guys as well, because if you're not looking at us, you're probably not watching the LCO. And if you missed the LCO last week, fortunately, youtube.com/@LCO has everything you need. The full VODs, the full games, and then all the clips and the highlight packages as well. It's all there, so you can't miss a minute. Or if you do miss a minute, you can go and catch up really damn quick. Make sure you hit that sub button as well, of course, so you don't miss out on all of this week's games when they get uploaded too. That's where you want to be, right, Rusty?
I mean, that's where I want to go if I want to watch Doggy's tower dive in slow motion on YouTube, because that was incredible and he hasn't even died yet.
I'm sure it'll be there. I'm sure it'll be on the TikTok as well. You love TikTok, don't you?
Yeah, I definitely have that app installed, Mac.
Yes.
I'd for sure
Very
have
good.
that app installed.
With Valentine's
Apparently.
coming up very, very soon, I believe
Yes.
it's in 2 weeks.
Mm.
I'm going to tell you guys one of my secret sources, one of my pickup lines when it comes to these VODs.
Oh,
Here we go.
Learn
Oh, yeah.
I'm
from
listening.
Teacher Kitty. Are you a VOD? Because I can review you for hours.
The Rizzler. Damn.
I'm sensing some Riz on that one. Good job, Kitty. Hopefully that works for you guys on Tinder or in your
100% success rate.
Rift or whatever.
Wait, what? You need statistics to follow with the
That's-
pickup line. If
that's
it doesn't
true.
work, then
But
why
that's-
would I show it to you
I'm
guys?
just
Facts.
astounded.
No,
Look,
that's
someone
facts.
else that has
W
100% win rate so far is the Chiefs, and we're going to be talking about them before we jump on into today's game. They're up against Direwolves. And they're looking pretty damn good. Kisei, astounding performances last week in that mid lane. Skimmy, tell me what's going right for this team and what isn't going wrong.
It's all so good for Kisei. He made me fall in love with mid lane all over again. The man makes my voice break. I don't know what I'm saying when I'm casting his insane moments. But the boys are just
Gymnastics.
looking as absolute strong as ever. I just don't understand how they're so good. They're really out to showcase that they are the best team in the region. They want to continue to hold that title as the most successful ever in Oceanic history. But yeah, this for me, I mean, it all starts off with Bio saying, let's pull the trigger, let's absolutely go in with it. And then Kisse says, I've actually got a third summoner, you know, another TP, all the way from bot lane to top lane, jumps in and absolutely destroys.
It looked like a knocked ult, honestly. Like, I could have been completely bewildered by that one. But look, last week's performance from them, insane. There were a couple of moments where they died, you know, 4 to be exact, in this game against GZ. But other than that, it was just almost perfection, Kitty.
I've always mentioned this about how Chiefs' early game is looking a bit wobbly compared to 2022. And the big question mark for me about the two biggest teams, which is Chiefs and PGG, is that we haven't seen the late game for PGG or a lot of team fighting from that team just quite yet. So both teams definitely have question marks for me, but Chiefs' team fighting is just immaculate.
That's what you want to see, especially the teams, all 7 that are currently playing in the LCO. But we need to talk about Direwolves as well. They're doing great things. They're doing such good work, except their photographer, who forgot to send the photos in, of course. But look, Praedyth doing pretty well in bot lane, not so much mid lane. But when he does in at mid lane, the rest of the team's there to clean up and get the dub anyway, isn't he?
Yes, I mean,
Yes.
for me, Direwolves is in this really interesting position in the LCO, and today's game against the Chiefs is everything in for how we continue to look at them through the rest of this round robin, because they've looked solid so far. They haven't really been tested. They've had a pretty easy start to their season. Praedyth's still dying in mid lane. Better teams can exploit that, but apparently it's a buff now that he's joined Chaz and Decoy, and they're so familiar with it. That's their comfort zone. But the place that I keep looking at is Chaz and what he's able to provide for the team in the way that he roams, right? In the way that he moves around the map. Talia, Ryze, the 2 champions that he's picked so far, does wonders for playing towards his side lane. And if you know Zoranus, you've seen Direwolves in the past, you know that he's a very good carry player with a pretty deep champion pool, but has also been a shot caller in the past. So now he's got a mid laner that can roam towards him, or a mid laner that can shot call so that he can focus on mechanics. And we might actually get to see the best iteration of Zoranus yet, because having to be a top laner, focus on team comms and not playing as a young, new player to the league might have made things harder for him than necessary.
Any takes on Direwolves at the moment, Kitty, and what they are going to be able to provide up against the likes of the Chiefs today?
Yeah, well, Maki, you better not be running it down mid lane for at least one death, because the Chiefs will exploit that mistake, like Rusty said, and they will definitely take advantage of that. Even if Chaz is giving you all these resources from mid and all this attention, if you just die once, that could be game.
It certainly could be, because Raze is a snowball.
Yeah. He's still got silver hair.
I believe he has dark hair now.
I thought he had dark hair. Yeah, I got confirmation from the
There you
production.
go.
It's darker.
Okay.
You know, we've
They
got
were
those
ready for
player
that question,
cams,
G.
which
Fair
means Raze is here ready to jump on into the game. But that's coming up very shortly, of course. We do have someone to have a quick chit-chat to in a moment. But quickly, talk to me about how this jungle is going to work out, because it's interesting. I feel like it's Poltron's first test of the season as well. He did relatively all right. I feel like it wasn't a prominent part of a lot of those wins last week. It felt like it was more sort of coming from the mid, from the bot lane. But what do you expect going into this one?
We already saw Praedyth pick Lucian Army 2 times in a row from week 1, and we know that Chiefs has a response to this, which was the Kalista and Leona. Although laning was a bit rough for the start of Chiefs, they still managed to just absolutely dominate those team fights. So I'm afraid once Praedyth has his Lucian taken away from banning phase, I'm praying for a Lucian ban. I sure hope I see one. Looking at you guys, LCO orgs, but you know, once this has been taken off, what else can he pick? Maybe the Ezreal. I do want to see an Ezreal with that Kraken build nowadays.
Let's bring out the Twitch again. Let's get Raze back on Draven. Let's just absolutely pop off. Let's have some fun. Yumi and Twitch, okay.
You can't pick Twitch now that supports are picking Caitlyn's.
Well, how
You just
about...
don't get to breathe.
You just win at level 1 with Ignite, Cheese. That happened last year.
I feel
That's
like
true, actually.
someone who doesn't tell us a lot, but we could maybe make him, you know, crumble at the knees today. That's Kisse, and we got him here for the interview. We're going to have a quick chin wag. Kisse, how you feeling going up against Direwolves? Do you think it's just going to be another Riders Rain easy peasy game?
I don't know about easy peasy, but I think it would be a pretty good game.
Very humble from the side of Kisse, which was not what I was expecting, because you on Twitter has been a bit unleashed But yes, huge statement from week 1 with your performance up against those teams. So how's the overall confidence in the Chiefs camp with you absolutely dominating on that, I believe, the Cassidy?
Yeah, the team spirit is pretty good. Everyone is getting along. And I wouldn't say the same about scrims. We're kind of like getting ran through in scrims, but overall, on game day, everyone just resets their mental, and it's all good.
Now, look, we've heard a little bit about, your jungle and, your supports being pretty good at, moving around together. How have you found, meshing in with Babip and Alidoric? Because you've been, your rotations in last week at least were completely insane. It got you some ridiculous KD and you're playing better than you ever have before. Do you think that's because of everyone around you, or are you just hitting a personal high at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I'd say like everyone around me supports me and makes me play better, but I think it's mainly me. Like, I've just like improved a lot since last year or the years I've been playing.
We definitely saw that improvement coming through from week 1, but I guess my last question for you is that the combination in total for the Chiefs roster has a whopping 13 international titles. So with you being on this new roster, does it give you any extra pressure when you come into these games and the result of regular split?
I wouldn't say I feel any pressure because Chiefs have a lot of title. Like, I was on Chiefs in 2021, I think, and I think it still feels the same. Like, it still feels at home to me. They're very welcoming and supportive.
Well, there you go. It's great to hear that one from the horse's mouth. Thank you, Kisei, for joining us. We'll let you go and get ready for the game.
Thank you. Bye.
My favourite mid laner.
He's so
Right
he's
there.
so
Hey,
in the
he's chilling.
interviews.
He always has so much to say. So much to say.
He lets it happen in the rift, mate. He just gets it done.
He also had a slight noise gate on his microphone. Well, I know those mics are pretty damn good, so he's just really quiet. That's all I'm going down with that. Now, look, let's talk about the side select. Let's talk about this coin flip we did previously. Let's have a look at who's going where. We got Chiefs winning the flip, and they've chosen blue side. So we saw them pick red side last week. Both games?
Yes, I think so. And the thing is, I was expecting red side again. And I believe it was Panther. I think we heard from him in an interview after their game, but Kisei's got such a good champion pool for counter picks that it is worth letting him, pick last on red side. And there's no real issue with a blind pick Cassante or, a blind pick champions in top lane at the moment that you can kind of do that and just allow him to counter. So the fact that they've gone for blue tells me that they're more interested in either having a really strong 2-3 bot lane pick, or their first pick's going to be something that's a denial from Direwolves. And I wonder what that would be. And if it is something like just pick the Rise first, because there's not a lot that counters it hard.
Well, quick bit of insight for you guys at home. You know how we usually sit around and have this weird discussion about who's going to win the Dare MVP? Well, guess what? We don't decide anymore. It's up to you guys at home. Towards the end of the game, there will be a Twitch poll up there. So, Rusty, if you will. Thank you. It's up there somewhere. It'll have 4 or 5 options. I can't remember how many it is. I think it's going to be 4. You guys get to choose out of those 4 players who performed the best this match and give them the Dare MVP. So it's not just caster bias anymore. It's Twitch chat bias. So make sure you're around towards the end of the game so you can vote in that.
They can flame themselves.
Crown the MVPs. And then they can say,
Yeah,
oh,
it's your
Twitch
own
chat.
Twitch
Yeah,
chat
goobers.
bias.
Yeah,
Chatting,
idiots.
chatting.
What are you doing?
Wow, this guy popped off. He should have got it chatting.
That's so true. That's so true.
Blame
Now,
yourselves,
look,
Twitch chat.
I already blamed him anyway.
it is time, though, for the Dare fan vote. You guys get those votes in now as to who's going to win the game. You pick one of the teams or the other one there. Up, Kitty, please. There, thank you. It's up there. Put your Twitch points on. You can win more Twitch points. You can flex your Twitch points. You can send it in from the fans and say, look at all my millions of Twitch points because I'm so good at predictions on the Dare fan vote, huh? Speaking of predictions, let's look at ours and see how we're going to be flip-flopping at this game. Are we all stonks Chiefs or are we not?
Well, you tell me, Mac.
No, we're not.
You tell me, Mac.
Damn, crazy. I'll go with Direwolves.
Okay,
For
why?
multiple reasons.
Oh.
One, to try and, get some respect back from my man Chaz. Put me on blast last week.
Oh.
So I'm thinking they got about a 40. I'm thinking this is like a 60-40 game at the moment, just going in, looking at all the recent stats, recent performance, and I'm going with the 40%. I feel like Direwolves are not the favorites here, but there is a chance of an upset win, and I'm already 2 losses on the board. So, you know, comeback mechanic activated. Let's go. Not every game, just the ones that are close.
Would you say you're pulling a Chaz and you're just sending it?
Yes, that is exactly what I tried to say. But
I respect it.
Many words, too many words. And everyone else has gone for Chiefs as well. Twitch chat. Who are you going for? Yeah, fan vote time. Get those in. Now,
Twitch chat smart.
60-40 was my prediction. Do you think it's about 60-40, Kitty?
Okay, if I were to give it an exact number,
Yeah.
I would give it 30-70, which is more favored towards Chiefs end because we do know that Chiefs are very, very strong when it comes to these team fighting. And of course, in that interview with, I believe, BioPanther or maybe Poltron, I believe it was Poltron, he said that the communication during those team fights was extremely hectic and all over the place. So that's definitely one of their biggest weaknesses. And I just can't wait to see how these team fights play out when we do enter into game.
Yeah, I'm keen to see where the gaps are today. Like, who's going to be leading from where? You know, this bot lane matchup, it's probably, I wouldn't say the most interesting part, but, you know, I'd put that secondary to mid lane. I feel like there's going to be heavy focus on mid. It's like in with the new, you know, not quite out with the old, but the old's coming back as well from overseas. So you got this international experience coming back to go head-to-head with what looks like could be the most mechanically gifted mid laner that we have at the moment in Kisei. So how do you see this one playing out, Skimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? You've got some really exciting matchups from top to bot in terms of reviving old matchups that have happened in the past, with then players going overseas, new players coming into the fold of things. I think what you're sort of mentioning about 70-30 is fair. I guess really you're just looking at saying, okay, Direwolves have mentioned that they've got a lot of, you know, cooks in the oven, but, you know, can they make sure that they're all serving the same dish? Oof. Or will the Chiefs just come out and say, look, you know, we're the only guys that get Barons, we're the only guys that have these massive team fights. Well, one has to come out on top, Max. So it's a big litmus test to see just how strong these heavy hitters are.
They certainly do. Now let's see who's going to be doing the cooking, who we have to let cook, because Champ Select's ready.
What a see indeed. What are we serving up today?
Bars.
Bars?
Serving up bars. We'll see what's banned first and foremost here. So Direwolves' second ban has taken away the Lucian. So celebrations, I think, in the LCO everywhere. Kitty, particularly next to us, was definitely cheering. Lucian's going to be taken off the board. Elise is something that has been getting pretty much permanently banned everywhere in the whole world. But we didn't see much play through the LCO in week number 1. So I would say that with an extra week of LCK to watch, there was no LPL on. We have learned a lot more about our draft, and suffice to say, a Caitlyn first pick with a Varus ban is a strong indicator for exactly that by the Chiefs.
It is very nice, isn't it? Especially when it's Direwolves themselves that remove the Lucian. So let's see what their counter pick is. And it does, as you say, give us a nice insight as to why Chiefs, for the very first time at this split, picking blue side, utilising that first pick priority. Quite curious to see really the direction of the Direwolves, whether or not they are going to try and play for a carry-centric top style, or if they are all to facilitate more so for Chaz to be the roaming maniac like last week.
Yeah, and now interesting thing with this Karma, seeing the Caitlyn, knowing that, I mean, we'll just say Caitlyn can be flexible for now until proven otherwise. Karma can also be mid. We've seen G2 play Karma top lane and then go for mid Zac, right? They've mixed things up, and I think that flexibility is something that bodes really well for being on red side. Of course, it can let you have strong picks on blue side anyway. You pick a 2-3 you're happy with. If it's Caitlyn Lux, Caitlyn Lulu, Caitlyn Morgana, whatever it is, you tend to be quite powerful. But looking at Direwolves' first 2 picks, without having revealed their third one yet, if it's a jungler, they could just be a bot lane duo. It could be an Ashe support with an AD to be picked. It could be an Ashe AD with a support to be picked.
Do you think it would be criminal to put Chaz on a Karma mid, given his sort of depth of champion pool and just sort of his style in general?
I don't think it would be criminal. I feel like ultimately he has been facilitating for the team.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that Chaz has come through, torn up week 1 of the LCO as like a hyper carry. He's not the Kisei of Direwolves. They feel like they're much more of a team in how they want to play, where Kisei can just be a carry if they wanted to. That's what makes the Chiefs dangerous, to be fair. I feel like they do have that potential in every single individual. I would like to see a little bit more of that from the Direwolves. Of course, when they were Pensinet, Chaz, Praetor, they were able to do that themselves.
Yeah, precisely. That's what I'm curious to sort of see, you know, how you fall into a new role in the team, and even if it is old teammates, you know, do those same rules apply from way back then. But the Ashe support would be a nice curveball. I think you were mentioning before, right, some of the vulnerabilities of the Ashe, right, the lack of mobility. If it was to be a Karma pairing in the bot lane, at least, might help circumvent that, especially with the Hawkeye.
I like that. I like the Karma Ash, to be honest, to just go bottom together. Sejuani being picked early here, you can potentially flex it. You're just expecting it to go jungle.
Yep.
Wouldn't be a bad decision to put the Sejuani with some melee champions as well, like up towards that top lane. Cassante still hasn't been picked or banned yet from what I can see. So things like that start to rise in priority, or potential priority here in the first place. Jax Cassante, probably the top lane matchup.
No
just
doubt.
waiting to see it locked in. Neither team willing to ban it yet.
Well, the Renekton and the Castan have been denied away from the Chiefs after their stand-up performances. There is the Jax you've just touched on to complement the second top lane ban with a Jace as well. Otherwise, they would have had the trifecta of just infinite poke. Circling through a few different options here, which will get us one step closer to understanding really what their finalized bot lane could be.
Yeah, but what positions they would be is still going to be up in the air. The reason that I like the Karma Ash personally, regardless of what Direwolves lock in, is the fact that you have movement speed and wave control, right? So Caitlyn Lux is a combo lane that if they hit one binding, a trap follows, you're probably going to die. Karma makes it harder to hit the traps. Karma also gets really good bush control and requires Lux usually to use her E or abilities as a part of the burst to control the bushes. And Ashe can do the same thing with the volley. So they have really good space creation and control that helps to deal with the Kate Lux, but they can also just run cleanse and it becomes a nullified lane.
Yep, trying to match the push, I suppose, also of the Caitlyn Lux, right? If you are trying to wrestle for, you know, bot lane priority. But there is the Cassante that you assume would be the case. The Gwen seemingly as a response, and now a Yone being hovered, which we do know Kisei is very proficient at.
Certainly is. One of his preferred champions for sure. Gives them a bit of AD damage or physical damage through the middle lane as well. The Gwen being a hyper carry or scaling carry AP champion for top lane. Been picked into the Cassante matchup. Both probably going to run Ghost, actually. The weird interaction we might have up there. Direwolves waiting to see where Chaz presumably chooses to go here unless they continue to flex things around. He knows his matchup now. He knows what he can pick if he wants to, and chooses to go for the assassin.
I like it.
Right in Kisei's face.
And this is what really screams to me, because I just remember that one time that Chaz played it in that final, which sent him to MSI way back in 21, and I think it was either a triple kill or a quad, and you're thinking, this guy's on the money. So this is an exciting one for us, almost like a resurgence of the old faithful assassin player showcasing, okay, which one really is better on the day? I guess for me, for the Chiefs, it's a pseudo-squishy team. The reason I put that, right, is you're putting a lot of emphasis on Babbitt being the engage, I would say, or at least allowing Kisei to be in a prime position to either start off or be there to complement and follow up.
Yeah, the team fighting of the Chiefs is quite good with the Wukong Yone working together and the Caitlyn Lux if they're able to freely hit. But generally what I'm looking at here is a team that wants to be in position first for the Chiefs roster. If they get the jump, they have the vision control, they're able to plant themselves correctly, then they'll be intermittable, right? They'll be a force to be reckoned with. Direwolves have a very hard time getting through that. However, double tank topside with a Cassante and a Sejuani. Akali can flank with the assassinations that she has there. And then what feels like a really strong pushing but can be weak-sided bot lane for the Direwolves in Praedyth and Decoy with that Ashe Karma. They're a little bit more flexible for me early. I do like what they've put together. The concern is, where is all the DPS going to come from if they fall behind, right? Cassante can do a lot of damage, especially when ahead. Chaz can do the same thing, but he's an assassin that could fall off. He is, I want to say, the sole AP source, so it's not a bad Akali game to say the least. And Praedyth on this Ashe, I'm hoping does go for a hyper carry build or attack speed, you know, AD build, not the lethality one.
That's a fair point, because I think as much as you say that Chiefs would want to be in a prime position being in front to set up first in the river or for those major objectives, you do have a few tanks on the side of Direwolves to face check if things were to go that way. So let's see how things materialize here for the first game of the second week here in the LCO. Two heavy hitters with the perfect records so far at 2-0. Both really impressing us in their initial performances. Let's get a bit of an insight into just how strong these rosters are.
Cheeky little start there from Kisei and Biopanther, making sure that the ward experience goes to their solo laners. Kisei starts with the sweeper. Just a little movement, you know, that early ward kill going to only 2 people in regards to experience. Could be level 2 on the first wave for both solo laners here of the Chiefs, which is invaluable for controlling that lane. So we'll see how they choose to play that one out. And it's just one of those little things that you can try every game. You know, if you see them place a ward, you clear the ward, you're laughing. If you don't, you could even switch back to a vision trinket if you would like, you know? So far, so good. Looking at where these junglers are going to be starting, Skimmy, as we kick off this game properly. Battle of the 2-0 teams here. It's going to be a red buff mirror match on both teams. Not going to be spotted by the respective opponents. One team, the Direwolves, playing towards their bottom lane, or pathing towards their bottom lane more specifically. In Praedyth and Decoy means that you would expect the Ashe Karma to be hyper-aggressive. But it depends on how Babip plays the path and how Direwolves are afraid of this Wukong, because a level 2 gank or a 3 camp clear towards bot is always possible with that red buff there. It could get a little bit faster than the Sejuani, who's going to be clearing opposite side for a bit longer.
Certainly is. Puts the emphasis, no doubt, on making sure that Praedyth is hot on the money with his understanding of the jungle pathing as to where he does plant that Hawkeye vision at any given stage, but also just a decoy, right, to save that shield move speed boost to get themselves out of harm's way and try and salvage a no summoner defense. So far, so good, though, to be expected. The Caitlyn lane gets its head start, and this gives them a bit of an opportunity to try and answer back. There is the Hawkeye vision, there is Raze, no doubt waiting for that one to toggle off, and then plant vision to keep an eye as to where Poltron's next move goes.
Well, Poltron's mid. They're expecting him to go to the blue buff, but here he comes.
Yeah, because they're going to walk across to Babbitt on the enemy side jungle. Jazz jumps in there with the Shuriken flip, looking to try and make matters worse so far as Kislei's in trouble. He's already hit the slingshot, he's got nowhere to go. That's a beautiful first blood there by Direwolves. Decoy's here as well. A flash away from Poltron. That's Babbitt saying, I want the kill, I'll die for the kill. And it goes the way of Jazz.
And Decoy gets in so quickly as well, has the flash mantra Q, makes sure some extra damage goes down onto Babip, and that allows Chaz to get the kill himself. 1-0-1 Akali to kick this game off. Binding just dodged, but they're going forwards.
Fancy feet there by Praedyth. Now with the move speed on top of his head, the Ignite goes out early. There is the Summoner here to try and buy some time and buy some space as well, as members are burning low. But Decoy will return to this lane with an assist in hand.
Love the aggression from Praedyth there. Makes a snap decision that we're just going to attack them, go forwards. Try and pincer Aladoric instead of just taking the damage and disengaging. With the wave pushing forwards for them. Only a couple of minutes. They should be pretty well off here overall. Just waiting for those resets, however, for mid lane, as Chaz was one of the biggest benefactors of that. Gets through the early game with a bit extra kills, bit of extra experience, and a nice first base. Be very happy. There's Decoy. Then he's been smoked.
Yeah, he certainly has been smoked, hasn't he? Maybe have found themselves in a trading pattern, looking to try and really force that wave in, maybe just into a false sense of security, given the fact that Poltron was in the area.
Potentially was just trying to crash that wave in. I thought that perhaps it was supported, but Caitlyn Lux lanes, right? Can't make a single mistake, can't get hit by a single Lux Q. The combo is a little bit too strong, damage is a little bit too powerful.
I guess going back to your point from draft as well, Chaz must be absolutely loving it, the fact that he gets an assist and a kill to start off in a comp where he is, as you mentioned, you know, that sole AP threat.
Yeah, he's able to get himself just a blasting one, maximize the ability power damage. Let's have a quick look at how Decoy does go down here. He is right in their face. He is basically spitting on them. That is not the way to play that. What do you say, right? Like he's trying too hard to potentially bait, maybe, because Poltron's there?
His KDA's been a little bit too strong. He's got to try and tone those numbers down. I think it was something absurd of like 32, so he's just keeping himself humble. Just showcasing it, hey? Let's see if you can actually land your skill shots or not. Aladoric wasn't having any of it.
He truly was extremely close to a Lux to hit that binding. It just became a battle of all the Lux hit it, so you're right, but at the end of the day, Aladoric, we know he hits skill shots. He's a Nautilus main that hits those hooks 24/7.
He's very happy about those changes to the melee supports coming soon, though,
I'm sure he will be.
No doubt about it.
Tell you what, man, I'm ready to play some AP Rakan mid myself. I'm going to abuse it for 2 weeks.
Oh, he's walked into it! The trap does miss, though, so the combo isn't going to land this time. Decoy can answer back with a little bit of harass, but that's a bit of a sniper.
Yeah, so the thing with the Caitlyn Lux as well is if the Caitlyn's not already moving forwards like the Lux Q's going to hit, you're probably not going to get in range to place the trap. You need to be there quite quick, as the Cosmic Binding doesn't last Morgana bind levels. Still very nicely done. He doesn't miss. He does not miss. And they are controlling that bottom lane well enough. Barrett's going to be able to come in and get himself that first Drake, supported by both lanes around him.
Both these teams came into this week with the 100% on that very first Drake, but it's the Chiefs that continue that statistic in their favor. That's going to give some vital information here to Poltron, which scans out the top side of this river. Not going to find any wards to deny. Instead, going to go and turn his attention to the wrist gut low and look to try and control this side of the map, which is giving so much opportunity for Chaz to play aggressive, to fuel the fact that he is ahead.
I guess they're really feeling the punish. Poltron still threatening for this one. I am surprised Chaz didn't perhaps go for the ultimate there. There was a world that he goes for a harder trade. A dive could have been on the cards, but just wants to be safe. No objectives up for a little while, right? With 1 minute until the first Herald of the game spawns. So just that cheeky level 6 spike timing. And a quick check-in as well with a couple of those spike timings. We're not going to be at Mythics anytime soon, even though there was some kills and some acceleration. But a lot of push, a lot of roaming around the map, and some pretty strong early base component items starting to be purchased.
Look how good Decoy is, though, just on this map. Reed, he's just constantly looking to go towards mid and look to see what he can do to assist Chaz. Gets a rare moment. And leaves Praetor to hold his own. Back in time for the wave as well. That's all you can ask for.
One plate to fall, a bit of extra money into the pockets of Alidoric here as well, though the binding does, this time, go wide. Of course, a bit of a Hail Mary, so why not? And Raze really is relentless in this lane. If a Caitlyn and Lux get any control, generally speaking, it's impossible to play if they have push. If you don't have access to a bush to play around, they can be overwhelming. But then you can bring a jungler in.
They're in trouble now because the ace in the hole goes out. It's a one-man ult from Poltron, who's got level 6. That's a flash away, a flash to follow, an arrow that's just happened because Praetor got the kill. And he's a very happy man now. That should do wonders to try and stabilize that matchup down 20 CS. You've taken our plates, we'll take yours.
I mean, watching that felt a little bit weird. In reality, Raze and Alidoric, it felt like they said, if your jungler's here, so be it. Just accepting that top lane all in.
Oh, okay, Bio, he's found the moves right now there on the Gwen. Put a lot of pressure into Zoranus so far. He's actually burnt the ghost, fired down every single summoner, but this pressure that we found in bot lane made them get the dragon. Now in the top lane, that's getting the Herald.
Exactly right, and that perhaps is a part of why the Chiefs were playing so hyper-aggressively. It was still a really weird skirmish to watch. Like, ultimately, they were just like standing in the face of Praetor, not even paying attention to him, trying to hit Decoy. The summoner's there for the karma. Does survive, and then suddenly a Sejuani appears, and it was a little bit too easy. And it's one of those trade-offs where Chiefs, maybe the Herald's worth it, but not yet. You know, you've just spent all this time and effort to go for that one as a trade-off for your bottom lane being dead and the enemy jungle is showing there. It was more of a reactive play than anything else. Babip top.
Babip is certainly top. Poltron not far behind. Zoranus going in for the all-in as he ults on top of Bio. You're going to get it falling on down. It doesn't matter. As Babip jumps in, holds his ult, holds his flash, and gets that kill. Bot lane once again. They just pull the trigger, Rusty. A flash and an ignite and an ult to their head. And Raze tries to answer back, and he does so successfully. He'll be happy with that one. And it's Decoy that gets the double.
They're just constantly fighting. Bottom's just never ending. They will not stop. We look down there for a heartbeat, and they're just all-inning one more time. Top lane's still going very favorably in the end for the Chiefs. One-on-one going nicely for Biopanther. Zoranus, unfortunately, wasn't able to kite towards Poltron, who spent this time walking top, but in a too little too late scenario. The Sejuani spends some time up there for naught. We'll have a look at what happens in bottom properly this time, as the flash from Alidoric, the flash Q is matched very nicely by Praetor. Good reactions there. Walks straight onto the Caitlyn trap. Perhaps if he navigates around that, there wasn't going to be an extra headshot. And he does survive. I'm not sure if in his mind that was actually going to be lethal anyway, without some lucky crits from Raze on this Caitlyn.
If nothing else, though, it's been bloody exciting here in the bot lane. It's what you really want to see. Ooh, close in the binding once more.
And we have seen this bottom lane of the Chiefs be attacked pretty hard through the first week of the LCO. So I don't want to say it's too shocking to see them given a lot of attention and effort put towards this, not from just junglers, but in winning the 2v2 outright. This time around, shoes on the other foot, Skimmy. Babip's able to sneak into the area. There is a Sejuani at the blue buff.
And you'd think that Poltron should be well aware of this, right? Turret plate's already going down. There's the Hawkeye. They know something has to be up, right? You've got a Herald. You want to shove that in. You want to get as much gold as you can before those plates fall down in the next 3 minutes. Good heads-up play. On vision as well from Kiste. Great ward there by Chaz.
Classic Yasuo Yone tech. Push mid, just disappear. Go get something else. Binding hits. Nicely done. Alidoric can actually hold. the laser. Doesn't want to put any extra damage down for no reason when there's a potential Drake fight about to happen. Chaz here, though, very early, with a potential flank if Chiefs aren't careful. Makes that a bit harder.
Yeah, right now, Chiefs stuck in the bottom tri-bush. Be very hard to get themselves in here. Kisse's shown no signs of interest to make this play. This is going to be a 1-for-1 trade so far. So, 2 Drakes claimed. The second one being an Inferno going the way of the Direwolves. As we turn it to a Mountain Rift. Nice little trade there by Kisse.
Chaz not going to miss the minions, though. Will be able to get back towards his own turret and successfully find those. I mean, right now, Kisse isn't the strongest. Binding just missing, but Babip.
Insta flash away, has to respect it. The final spark, the Cyclone, and I tell you what, he definitely got shut down.
Yeah, they put extra effort into making sure the decoy was gone. Walked himself into the alcove and found out that was a mistake. He was just trying to be cheeky and get some damage down. Herald summon, Poltron here.
That's all you need, though. The ult goes out, it hits the stun onto a 1. That's all they need, but Babip can't fall on down because it's a clone. Absolute shambles. The final plate there. That's all they need. Big injection of gold to keep this bot lane ahead.
Yeah, Ray's definitely starting to get a bit overwhelmingly powerful. Praetor, no arrow to throw, so Poltron hovering really just as means of protection. Look at the gold right now for this Caitlyn, for Raze. Found himself, 30-odd CS up, but has the bounty, has the 3 kills. They've been finding plates even if they've been dying.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where, when all said and done, Direwolves are putting up a really good fight down there, but at every point, Chiefs have been fine. They haven't been pushed out of the game by any means.
Look at this for a first item rush. He's going to go back to base and pick himself up a Bloodthirster. All he wants is sustain into a double poke lane. He wants to dictate the pace of this. If you can't bully him out from pressure, then your lane is basically nullified.
Caitlyn does love a good Bloodthirster rush as well. One of the better champions to utilize that because she can just play for headshots. Doric does cop that one.
Go on, Chaz.
Chaz has got his mythic done.
But part of me thinking he would definitely go for the 1v3.
Does Zeka kill there is the question. Doesn't matter this time. But the Caitlyn now pretty much immovable.
Yeah.
Right? Has a Bloodthirster, has sustain, but also is a very good just AD stacking champion. Doesn't need attack speed as much as some others do. So nice little idea, nice build in general. Also completed item compared to components of Praetor right now, so sitting pretty in that 2v2 in terms of mid-control that can come from it.
Ches answering back here in the mid lane using the rocket belt just to jump out of Kisse's grasp there for a second. That way you can rather healthily clear out those remaining 2 minions. Poltron in the area once again doing God's work of clearing out all this vision. Really looking to try and limit the impact that this mid-jungle duo of the Chiefs can hope to achieve. But Ray's on a bit of a rare journey here. Whether or not that's the signal now, close to 15 minutes in, that the lanes are swapping.
I mean, we've got a Rift turret up in 8 seconds. Babip hovering in the area. Ult's going to come through from Ray, so I think this is more just about setting up in mid lane, clearing the wave, posting for the objective. They'll sweep their way through. They should clear all of this. And looking at the Direwolves right now, the Ashe is coming mid. The Cassante is still deploying to top. But Chaz in base, no teleport, not going to be of assistance, no shot that they can contest.
And it just feels like a bit of a trade-off, right? The amount of pressure that Chiefs are putting in that mid lane to try and guarantee this objective. Poltron's forced to use the ultimate, cancel out the fact that Kisse could have used his as well to guarantee a kill amongst all the other conditions available to them. It's a trade-off that has sufficed for this.
Oh. I don't know if you could ever... A full health Cassante, you probably can't dive. They could hit the turret if they wanted, but they're going to take the safe option. They don't know where the rest of Direwolves are. And a very volatile mid laner that is a Yone against an Ashe Karma. Anything could happen if they're not careful. Mythic done, mind you, now for Praetor, so he should be able to survive the full burst combo of Kisse at this point. Because that guy needs to base himself to complete a Mythic.
Nice bit of rotational work, really, from the Chiefs there. They forced out the TP from Zoranus to match Bio in the bot lane there, having this kept him occupied top side whilst Chiefs picked up their Herald. Gets a free lane to shove in and go for a bit of a roam once again. And just look to understand, what would the Direwolves' next move be?
I mean, you've got a couple of options for the Chiefs in particular over the Direwolves in regards to options. Direwolves more on the back foot, starting to finish those items there, right? The Radiant Virtue there for the Sejuani. Really standard, nice build to be seen now. But Herald to be summoned could be placed bottom, right? If you wanted to put pressure down there. If Caitlyn Lux are going to permanently have waves cleared, then they could move down towards what side of the map, or you just place it mid, right? Caitlyn's biggest strength comes from sieging, comes from posting up near turrets, placing traps down, and not having counterplay. And even doing nothing right now for the Chiefs, but dragging them around.
Oof, thread the needle. Agonizingly close there to finding a target. Chiefs too well drilled to fall victim to that. All this just to guarantee that they can try and pick up something to answer back. 2 Drakes to the name, because they know that Kiste is just knocking on their front door here. Top lane turret, nobody in the area to answer back. That's gone for 3.
They're pretty much 100-0 to turret. Blue Shrink are going to be used. They're going to see the Drake's done. It's confirmed. Babip's just going to walk top, place Rift Herald. Decoy, however, very smartly bases come straight to top, which allows Chaz the freedom to be more forward placed here. Oh, does he? Every time. I just wish he would. I just wish he would.
We certainly do.
It's Kiste that takes those every time. It's not Chaz that takes those every time.
That's what Europe's done to him. He's learned.
To say no? European solo queue is psycho, man.
Ah, some of the things I see on Twitter, no doubt. So, 17.5 minutes into this game. Not the biggest gold lead, really, is it? Chiefs only up by about 1,000.
Yeah.
Couple to their name, really.
They were, what, 1,000 down, though? So they've been able to claw it back pretty steadily, up to about a 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah.
Can't ask for much more from them in reality. They've given over a second Drake, but they got the turret for it. They got this gold lead from it. And we get big
Hold
damage.
Oh. They expend to summon a hill just because they can.
I think Praedyth wasn't sure if he would get there in time positionally to actually block it. So the heal was kind of like a double up movement speed to get me closer, but also just in case I can't get there, the heal.
Imagine the movement speed was too much, he overshoots it.
Just overshoots.
You would be in shambles.
I entered with that yesterday.
Happens to the best of us.
Oh, killer.
Well, this wave is prime and ready, isn't it? 4 members in the area. Mid-turret seems like a foregone conclusion. Now, finally, these mid laners are battling once again in a 1v1, making a 2v1. Poltron jumps in, insta-flash away from Kiste. Oh, flash denied! TP's coming in too. Bio says, I'm here to help you, mate.
Oh, he's alive.
Auto teammate, Kiste's still alive! The shield bow value, that is a mythic item because that was magical! Poltron's running, and Bavit's saying, I don't want this kill, but I'll take it if I have to.
I mean, Poltron tries his best to survive. The rest of Direwolves, you know, you've got a K'Sante hitting top. They'll probably get the turret for this one, but the trade-off's just so negative for the Direwolves. They've been completely dismantled. The 1v1, Chaz was doing well. You know, Sejuani comes in. Unfortunately, the ultimate misses, yes, but because he doesn't die, he survives for so long. He's able to get the shield back up, the shield bow proc as well. You can't ask for much more if you're the Chiefs, right? The reinforcement's just a little bit too powerful for them. Nice idea from Direwolves, but just a little bit mistimed and on the Chiefs side, executed really well.
Just a beautiful display of just the mechanics between flashes and movement, really abilities. We'll watch this back one more time.
And it is just a 1v1, right? On a duel, flash away to make sure that he doesn't get damaged. I think he was worried about being killed there.
Look at that.
If he tanks it, maybe it's a different story. But either way, gets the Triumph proc, gets the shield, gets the ability to survive as a result of being so close to his turret. Biopanther's going to get there faster as well. And suddenly, what looked good was very bad.
It's looking like the shield from his W abilities really come in clutch there at the final hour when everything else has been expended. I mean, those are the moments that will haunt you for sure. Once again, the combo just lands. And what can you do? Man. You're in the shroud, but you're just not safe.
Just 100-0'd.
Wow.
Caitlyn Lux got that mid control, that mid priority. Look at Aladoric, does not care. Crown of the Shattered Queen means that he's too tanky to be burst out immediately, and it's a Sejuani and a Karma. Zero fear. The Chiefs, they will walk over to the Baron, and they're just going to hit it. Look at Biopanther as well at the same time. You bring Direwolves to the pit, you disengage. Biopanther's going to get turrets.
Yeah. What a disaster to see another Baron on spawn being teased at. What is your move, Direwolves? Will you answer to it? Will you let another turret fall on down? What if we bait you? What if you have to waste that Unleash teleport now?
That is the question, right? Because Bio does not have his teleport.
Yeah.
He used it for the play bottom. With that in mind, I don't think the Chiefs would be upset at just mid-priority into the Baron, right? Try and force a teleport and just disengage. try and equalize the playing field. If you're able to force a teleport the next minute, you're actually going to have a teleport advantage if you were to start split pushing. And at this point in the game as well, it's pretty much impossible to kill the Caitlyn or the Lux, right? Lux is not going to be burst out. The Caitlyn has the cleanse. Ash Arrow is not going to do anything, but that's their play. That's the Direwolves' composition. Throw an Ash Arrow, have the follow-up with the Sejuani. Cheats can just 1-3-1.
I just saw the biggest grin on Ray's face, and I can understand why. You got a stopwatch, 2 completed items, every summon at a Kraken Slayer there as well. I mean, you are the most strong character so far in this game, and you just know that how do they ever get into the brush, into the river, into a position to try and contest? And this is exactly what you want to see during draft phase, right? If Chiefs get ahead, they just own the space.
Look at the Chiefs potentially flanking. They might find themselves a Zoran is here. Laser very off.
Laser goes out early, but it doesn't find what they're after. TP comes in a little bit delayed, and that's all they need. They found that Unleashed Teleport to answer back, make it a 5v5. Chiefs can just disengage away from this one and play for the very first Mountain Drake of this game.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately not much was used. Another Binding's going to find the mark onto Zoranus, who is ready for the fight.
Uh-oh, Raze is so strong. If we cast the curse to him, he's in trouble. He's supposed to hit that stopwatch so far. Zoranus taking a 1v1 up against Kisse. Kisse going for him. Raze is dead. There's the shutdown. Goes the way of Poltron. That's what you need. Aladoric going to disengage away, and the Dragon just has to be left. Direwolves have done a phenomenal job of finding the most crucial pick of them all.
Babip, no ult, no flash, no smite presently as well as what used for the skirmish. This does mean Drake Point, or Soul Point rather, does go the way of Direwolves. They'll get the objective that they're after. Great skirmish. The question has to be asked on how was Raze the closest to the Direwolves camp when the fight started. But ultimately they answer in kind and say, you want to be this close, we will take you apart. He'll be the first to fall, and just like that, they'll get what they're after. Looking forward to the replay to see exactly how that one played out.
You and me both. Here we are, seeing as Grace is saying, this Caitlyn will literally do no wrong.
Can't die, yeah. Can't believe we said can't die.
Everything expended. And ultimately, Direwolves put the pressure on now. The next 5 minutes, absolutely crucial here to try and claw back at the map pressure that Chiefs have been delivering. 3 turrets to 1. They've been playing to try and open up this map, open up these avenues like we saw really that kicked it all off in mid lane.
Certainly is one of the things we now need to look at even more closely is also Ash Arrows hitting Raze for the next little while. You know, there is no cleanse available. There's no flash there for Aladoric as well. So in terms of targets, what was a bastion of strength for the Chiefs in mid, now a potential weakness when they start to branch out from mid into the side lanes. Poltron always waiting in the wings. Deco going to try and get a ward down in the pit just to make sure it's not being done, but that'll get instantly cleared. And he is still at risk of dying here. A blind Lux Q from over the wall. Look how afraid he is. Can't even get close. They need blue trinkets and hawk shots. That's their game plan.
Well, it does feel like that risky game, right, as to is your best defense a better offense in terms of, are you looking to try and find the picks with the Ash ult, or are you still saying, we've got traps, we've got bindings?
Ash Arrow.
Because they found that target, and they found the best of them all once again. Babip jumps in with a one-man ult, hits the Cyclone, knocks them up, and disengages the gate. Raze is running for the hills. Now Babip says, I'm the one in trouble. Cops the ult from Zoranus, is getting dropped absolutely low. Raze is still there, but Raze has fallen on down. Chaz has done what you just said. Absolutely crushed him. And now they are the ones going straight towards Baron.
And Praetor's arrow flies true. They hit the mark that they're after. Aladoric just looking to stop a base, a teleport to come through from Bio. And it is a scary Gwen. Has got the ultimate there and can push them back, it seems like. But still very nicely done from Direwolves. That's 2 consecutive skirmishes that have gone their way. That's a lot of momentum now building for the Wolfpack.
That certainly is. That's what you need. Buys you space, buys you time, and really puts you in a prime position to go towards that Soul Point. Once again, it really is as simple as just hitting the arrow on the mid-wave.
Yeah, no cleanse there for Raze. As Kraken Slayer doesn't have a Gale Force in terms of being able to dodge those arrows, it's a bit harder. And Zoranus finds his target. Sejuani nearby for the passive, while the Cassante is hitting and hits that all-out mode, bringing him back towards the team. And Chaz finds his moment, finds his angle. Very nicely done. And
it just looks like Raze has got out of harm's way. Babip did a phenomenal job of peeling for him, but Chaz in the right space at the right time, burning that flash. Out goes the arrow once again, but it gets immune. Beautiful work there by the Gwen.
Look at Zoranus as well here.
They're in rushing the pit. This one down.
He stole it.
Stolen. Poltron's taken the Baron. It really is momentum heaven right now for the Wolfpack, and now can it win the team fight? In they jump once again. Babip going to be the lamb to slaughter, knocking them all up and telling his team, run for the hills.
Baron does fall, but it's stolen, and the kill And Teamfight, once again, going the way of Direwolves. They are starting to run away with this game. They're behind 1,000 gold, but it doesn't feel like it with how these fights have been panning out. Chiefs, that felt like a very rushed call. Go for the Baron there. You've caught them resetting. You know, you've got this opportunity, you've got this window. But they didn't seem to have enough damage to get it down fast enough. The Sejuani was well and truly here in time. And while the Gwen's immune, it is still a Crown of the Shattered Queen taken away from the Lux, who gets stunned up that whole time. Zoranus comes through, 1200 on the smite, hits it at 1160. It's a new smite meta for ya, and then the follow through here is quite simply hit that stun. A Cassante and an Akali jump straight onto Babik's face, and this Wukong, with his bruiser build, is struggling to stay alive even then.
So he does have his work all cut out for him. But no doubt it's going to allow Babik to continue to press forward. I am a bruiser, but I do have so much engaged to allow me to try and catch you out like you're doing the same to us.
The most important thing right now as Direwolves post up in mid with Baron is Summoner's spells are back for the Chiefs. They have the cleanse, they have the flashes there. Ash Arrows may not do as much, but they're looking anyway.
They certainly are. Once again, it is the Wukong they're after. They've only called out a clone, so worst case scenario for them, but they are continuing to showcase that we have the Baron we want to siege. 2 turrets to 3 now. This will make it a third to even up the game.
Still hard to break it now. The Sejuani has no ultimate there. Radiant Virtue not going to be there for extra team fight healing, but Zoranus is super dangerous on this Cassante, hunting. Always looking for an angle, and Chaz on that flank while he's been spotted. He's there. And even though he's been seen, it doesn't matter. The Chiefs have to respect it.
And not in a position to warrant a flash forward engage. To really try and catch out a rather defensively orientated carry in the backline there.
Drake, remember this is Mountain Soul on the line. Chiefs, they find themselves an avenue, but it's one alleyway, and Zoranus and Chaz going to body them.
Kislei's gone back to base. He's got a TP. He has to come in now. The fight breaks out. Babik has to live if he wants to go for a smite steal, but the soul is gone. It's been picked up here by the Direwolves. Now can they try and run away from this team fight? Do they even want to entertain a team fight? You wouldn't think so. Having just lost Chaz. And Zoranus now burning to 50%.
I mean, Chaz for a Mountain Soul, not a bad transaction by any means. 30 seconds death timer for this mid laner. Has got the teleport there. Baron buff, a little bit harder to utilize now though, given that their mid laner is gone for quite a while. But still, waves get cleared. Good resets to likely come through. A teleport does get forced out here just to control and cover top wave by Bio. And Chiefs are still scaling in this game. You know, they've found themselves a little bit of extra money in their pockets once again. There's a shutdown bounty for BioPanther and for Kisei. They're still doing work. But the signs of life that we're starting to see from Direwolves, the defiance that they will not back down. And Chiefs, we called Teamfight Kings, are going toe-to-toe with Direwolves, and they're coming out pretty evenly matched as team fighting is concerned. And has a Mountain Soul to back up the Direwolves, makes it harder.
Certainly all you could ask for in terms of an early indication really as to how strong these two competitors are. The most successful orgs in Oceanic history, really giving us a case to be inspired for what 2023 could really have to offer for them.
Also would like to check who the Anathema's Chains is on from Poltron, if that's just extra CC onto like Kisei or a melee character, or if that's just damage reduction on the Caitlyn, who was fed pretty early. I think it's an indicator of how he would want to play those team fights. Given the Direwolves comp right now is more dive heavy and going forwards, there's confirmation it is on Kisei. I'm not too surprised that it would go on to the Yone.
Who has actually gone into a bit of old tech, if you remember back last year when we had the Bruce-orientated version. Now that Sunfire is no longer a mythic item, tapping into that once again.
Is one of those things, right, where Akali's the sole magic, so you don't want to build into magic resistance if you don't have to. But you want to have some kind of survivability, so it's health and armor, which is valuable. Bit of damage, which is what a Yone always wants. And then has the shield bow for some extra shielding also. But really, it's Raze that has to be afraid of Chaz above all else. It is the Cassante Sejuani that'll be running Kisei down.
Certainly will be looking to try and punish the fact that there is no cleanse available.
Raze is now. Just waiting patiently, pressing S. ADCs at home could learn from this. He's not presenting himself as a weakness for Praetor to throw an arrow. Even if he cleanses, cleanse is now gone in 60 seconds. Another arrow comes through. And that one's dangerous, especially with a Baron up in 40 seconds. Let's see how the Chiefs get themselves into this area and how they fight for this, because Direwolves, for now, pretty solid baseline on vision they get to reset from. And Zoranus with teleport is already pushing bottom.
Certainly is. Direwolves prepping these side waves, most importantly in anticipation of this next spawning of the Baron. 20 seconds away. Chiefs have a single mind, and that is push out the mid wave. At least guaranteed themselves some permanent vision with that Scuttler now acquired.
That's one turret to fall. A second turret to potentially follow because it coincides with the spawning of Baron. Kisei without teleport is bottom. Let's see if the Direwolves know that. They have the timer on it. Because if they do, they just go straight to Baron after clearing this mid wave 100%.
It's not too far away, is it, for Kisei? You'd want to say 10, 15 seconds.
They're just going to bring Zoranus up. It feels like Direwolves would really like to get something more than just an outright team fight. Maybe force a summon a spell, maybe threaten here, right? Get the cleanse, get the flash out of someone. Or a good flank from Chaz and it doesn't matter. Look at Zoranus at Raze here.
They found Raze, insta flash, cleanse as well. He's read the play beautifully from either end. Zoranus tries to find the angle with the all-out to try and knock him back into harm's way. But he's copping a massive amount of damage on his head so far. Jumps away. There is the fate seal. Kisei wants to try and steal the fate of this game. They want the W. He's jumped him, but he's going to get shut down. He can't slingshot back. Out of harm's way. Chiefs cannot answer back with a trade of their own.
Ash Arrow gone, Sejuani ultimate gone. They get both summoner spells, however, out of Raze. Now a huge target goes on his head. Recall cancelled.
Oh, Zoranus has been found on the flank right now. It's the position
He still has
perfect.
ult.
Direwolves go in from the side. They look for Biopan, but they cannot touch Raze. He's completely untouched on the side of the map. In jumps Babbitt. He's an absolute psycho. Forced at the blast cone, gets knocked away. Zoranus still chasing. He's in hot pursuit. Out goes the ace in the hole. There is the Mormortius shield being procced, and it seems like dead to rights they go. In jumps Chaz. But as Polchinen picks up the killing blow, the laser does absolutely nothing. It looks good, like fireworks.
Zoranus going to teleport in as well.
But Raze is in trouble. He's been left to his own devices, and Bio just has to run.
That should be Baron. That should be pretty much free Baron given to Direwolves. I mean, listen, Babib's just discovered all-out mode. Zoranus has just given him the Kazante. Tofu's come through a little bit too powerful. They just chased too far. It was a stopped base. That was nice. It became too much. And suddenly, a Baron is free unless a miracle occurs and there's no Lux Laser nearby. The game shifts to 25 seconds until the Elder Dragon spawns. We'll see this one more time. Babip, again, gets pushed around. Feels like perhaps he's pinched here, but gets pushed through with Q3, ulted straight through the wall, and he is gone. He is completely gone. He's joined the Direwolves. Blast Cone, an attempt to perhaps cover some extra distance, and Zoranus, well, it looks like he's susceptible to that. He's able to use the dash, repositions himself, gets the shield. And that's it, right? Decoy Praedyth keeping him busy over here, making sure that they stay humble. Constantly hunting for more and slowing them down, waiting for the team, waiting for the reinforcements. But we're back in action.
We certainly are back to the scene of the crime. We jump right back into the action around this one. Lux Laser goes amiss. Fate Seal just barely clipping Decoy. He gets the hack and slash, he gets that kill. That's what they need. They're playing for an Elder now. It's only 35 minutes into this game.
Kisei's got
but there is the double. That's what Kisei wants. Turrets are falling, fights are continuing, members are dropping like flies. Alador gets flashed upon by Zoranus. But it's now Praedyth's time to shine as he finds the shotgun. That's what he needs.
Zoranus can't be stopped.
They're still trying to find him. Praedyth completely untouched across the wall. But how durable is this Kazante? Untouchable.
He just can't be beaten right now. This Kazante is huge. Zoranus is massive. Minions pushing in mid. Elder Dragon doesn't even need to be looked at. They're just going to push forwards. Praedyth has an absolute wall of a human being in front of him right now. That's going to be an inhibitor. We'll see what else they can look towards because they're still hunting for Babib.
They want
and
Babib.
They got him.
Oh, they've got the knockback. It's a delayed ace, but an ace all the same. That's an inhib, and that's pressure with Baron.
That's
onto Nexus.
Maybe the game. They're looking at turrets at the very least. Aladoric up in 1 second, 10 seconds on the next members spawning. They'll take the turret for sure. Let's see what they choose to do from here on out.
Full combo coming out there on towards Praedyth. Can they do anything else to try and deny this one? 3 members coming in here. Chaz with the TP. They're going to go for the massive amount of damage onto the Nexus to end the game right here and now. Chaz can do it all on his own. It's ended. It is done. And Direwolves continue undefeated, taking out the Chiefs.
The Direwolves are in deficit. Dismantle the Chiefs. they go toe-to-toe with them, and every single team fight, they're able to best them. I mean, suffice to say, Cassante is a good and balanced champion that we enjoy seeing in competitive League of Legends, because that last fight that happened was like Kise versus Cassante. I almost said him as one thing.
Kise versus Kise.
Kise versus Cassante, and the Cassante was just a little bit too powerful.
Yes.
Look, I need to say, the only thing that tastes better than me getting my prediction right is a bloody dare. Because what a game that was, huh? Oh! That was
A
good.
little bit sweaty, Mac.
That was good. Yeah, did you enjoy that one towards the end? I was getting sweaty too.
Bit of a
Team
banger.
fight.
Hard to believe that was runner-up for Match of the Week.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now, you know, PGG, they got a lot of pressure on their backs tomorrow to live up to a game like that. But at the same time, Direwolves taking down the Chiefs, so it's not going to be the perfect split. We heard that from Aladoric. They were looking for it again, and it's not happening. Kitty, what are your takeaways from that game?
Takeaway from that game, well, I think draft was extremely important for both sides. We saw that Chiefs drafted the Gwen and the Yone coming into this game, while Dials responded with the Cassante Sejuani, which does imply a 5v5 comp, and I believe there were some mishaps happening in this game where Chiefs just got picked a lot, especially when it did come to the mid game. We just had people randomly dying where it just gave Dials that extra lead they needed, and I believe Chiefs, they did give over 3 dragons in the early game because Dials, Praedyth, and Decoy somehow managed to win the 2v2 against Raze and Aladoric, which was a very big shocker because you want to expect that the Caitlyn would be the lane bully out of the 2 duos. But these early dragons going to the side of Dials, Chiefs weren't able to pressure the side lane with this Gwen and Yon. I was expecting like a 1-3-1 coming out of Chiefs because they don't have, well, Dials doesn't have an answer when it does come to these split pushing, and that's Cassante's weakness. But Chiefs played into Dials' strength, which was the 5v5, and as you can tell in these team fights, Cassante was literally unkillable, and I believe Praedyth also had a very standout game where he was just dealing so much damage on the Ashe AD carry, where they just pretty much won all these later game fights. But something else to mention is the Sejuani. I really enjoyed the Sejuani pick. It has so much engage and follow-up, which is something that other junglers don't have in the current meta, which is why I prioritize Sejuani so much more compared to these other meta junglers. But yes, of course, looking at Cassante's damage, topping damage charts, going 4 tank items. Riot! Do something about this!
That game has to feel good. Not just for Direwolves as a team, but for Poltron and Zoranus, who have always been just shy of being one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah.
But also for the fact that the whole bot side was able to beat BioPanther, right? If you want to go back to the Pentanet squad of old, they get a little bit of revenge on him there. Perhaps they're one up in this rivalry that can build between them. So there's a lot of little sweet moments that the Direwolves can take from this game.
Yeah, real close game as well. Having a look at the gold diff, it went up, it went down, but it never got more than 6k. An interesting affair. And look, that burger flip at the Baron as well. I don't know if Babip's got old bones. They're a little creaky, a bit too slow on the smite there, but Poltron got him. And I feel like that was definitely the turning point in the game.
Yeah, that Baron seal coming out of Poltron was an insane seal, but I do want to mention that because they started, or Chiefs started Baron, while Raze got picked off earlier in a team fight, they didn't have that Caitlyn damage to rush the Baron as fast as they would have wished for, and maybe that just played into Poltron being able to steal it because, you know, burger flipping in 2023, not the play.
Not the play indeed. But look, that was fun. That was great. And I actually have no idea who the MVP is going to be. And everyone in Twitch chat, they've already voted on it. That'll be popping up in just a moment. And look, that takes a lot of pressure off our backs.
Yes, it does.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
oh.
nice. It's
Gotta
nice.
We're going to sit here,
Oof, beautiful.
waiting in
We just
anticipation.
Can't call
Yeah,
us
sit
biased
here,
anymore. It's all you.
Chill, Max chilling, Bing chilling, Zoranus chilling. I don't know, he had a pretty fun time up in the top lane. Zoranus, how sweet does that W taste?
Look, I'm happy with the win. I wouldn't say we played the cleanest game, but you know, we'll take those.
We do take those, especially if it's a win against the Chiefs, who have been known to go, I believe, defeatless in the previous year. So congratulations on the win. This was the runner-up for Match of the Week.
Yeah.
So now with Chiefs being defeated, are you excited for the match up against PGG now?
I mean, I don't really get like too excited over matches. Like, we've got to beat everyone to be the best, right? So whoever the opponent we're gonna come in full throttle and take them out.
I need to ask, what's your thoughts on Cassante? Because when you were chasing Babip through your blue side jungle towards the end, I think before you got the soul, I was thinking, you're dead. You are dead meat, mate. And you just kept on living. You just kept on living. And Kitty was like, no, Cassante's broken. He's living. So I just want to get your thoughts on it as a top laner.
I mean, Cassante with Mountain Soul, it's kind of broken. You're pretty much unkillable unless they have percentage health damage like the Gwen. So Wukong can't really do anything.
Yep, and we definitely saw those results coming into the team fights. But, you know, we are struggling on the couch to give MVP to a certain Dials member because everyone played so extremely well in the previous game. So which player really stood out to you? And of course, you're included.
Look, I wouldn't say everyone played really well, but if you want to say that, sure. But I'd have to give it to Poltron in the jungle for that for the Baron steal. I think that's like what really broke the game.
I love hearing that one. Who didn't play well? Just in case anyone wasn't watching the game.
Well, I don't want to single out anyone specifically, so I'm gonna avoid that question. Let's
Beautiful,
move on.
beautiful. We'll leave it there. Enjoy the W, enjoy the win over Chiefs, and enjoy being undefeated in the groups so far. We'll see you later, Zonus.
Thank you.
Chaz, probably. I don't know. Is that who was talking about?
Chaz? Or
No, I
that's
think
Chaz?
in general they all
Someone?
did a lot of whoopsies.
There was a lot of whoopsies.
I'm with him. I'm not going to single anyone out, but you go through the game, he's probably going to go through and be like, we all did something.
Yeah, the binds were just too strong. Eventually, sometimes from
Decoy dying
Aladoric.
bottom.
Yeah, little whoopsies everywhere. And look, it's time to check out who the Dare MVP is. Let's see who you guys at Twitch chat voted for.
Oh,
It was
there he
Zorinus.
is.
So the huge performance at the end, keeping him alive, going in with Praedyth and just smashing it straight through mid. And then just living and living and living and living and living. 27% gold share, 61% KP. It's not too terrible, even though Zorinus said they all made little whoopsies. You guys in Twitch chat picked him.
The biggest whoopsies that Chiefs made today was letting this Cassante going into the hands of Dials. Because although we saw the Gwen being picked as a very traditional counter pick to Cassante, they didn't play towards the side lane push win condition later on into the game. So they just weren't able to deal with the Cassante in these team fights. And he, of course, popped up in the end.
I mean, the thing is as well, like for the Chiefs in this game, you mentioned draft straight after, but like you can't have mid control. Because you're against an Ash Karma and a Sejuani. If you can't have mid-control, how are you going to split push?
Yeah.
It's like they kind of built upon themselves into a losing situation.
Yep, and something else I wanted to mention is that I did enjoy both sides because, of course, Chiefs had the side push win condition. Dials had a lot of initiation. We had the Cassante, we had the Sejuani, we had the Ashe ultimate. So it's just very hard trying to avoid those team fights, which is exactly what we saw in the mid to late game. And yeah, I mean, good to them. They didn't have any pressure on the side lane.
Good for them indeed. And good for you guys at home. You get a little break from all the tension, all the crazy LCO action you've been witnessing before we jump on into Game 2. It's coming up just after the break. That, of course, is Team Bliss up against Kanga.
It's only 35 minutes into this game,
Kisei's got
but
two.
there is the double. That's what Kisei wants. Turrets are falling, fights are continuing, members are dropping like flies. Alador gets flashed upon by Zorinus, but it's now Praedyth's time to shine as he finds the shotgun. That's what he needs.
Zorinus can't be stopped.
They're still trying to find him. Praedyth completely untouched across the wall, but how durable is this